Hello, sports fans, and welcome to another edition of Scott Sports 101. I'm Scott Trella. We're going to talk Browns news, talk a little bit of Major League Baseball news, but first, here is today's Scott Sports 101 trivia question. Which Hall of Fame NFL player went by the nickname Sweetness? I will have the answer later in the podcast. Now, I'll tell you right now, it's not anybody who is playing today. Now turn to some Browns news. The Browns know they need to improve their offensive line still. According to a rumor from Jason Palmer of NFL Network, and they are eyeing Jason Peters. Some fans thought the idea of Larry Warford was too outlandish. Yes, excuse me. But a rumor from Jason Palmer of NFL Network has the Cleveland Browns apparently pursuing former Eagles tackle Jason Peters. The word lurking was used as well, which seems appropriate for what free agency really is. Hey, you got to do what you got to do to get your team better. So if that means you sit on released talent, you do it. And that is absolutely true. The former Bills and Eagles great wants to play into his 40s, citing Tom Brady as inspiration to do so. One idea being pitched as to why the Browns would bring Peters in is if the team doesn't feel comfortable with Jedrick Wills, the Browns' 10th pick in this year's NFL draft, as you know. Induction on the left side. With so many issues already with bringing rookies into the fold, doing so in a pandemic where you can't work one-on-one with coaches is causing even more problems to appear. The idea of Wills maybe being introduced into the line slowly over the year could be ideal and would see Peters take a short-term role as a starter as Wills progressives. This is obviously not an ideal situation. Excuse me. A top 10 pick is selected with the idea they'll be an instant starter. But if one cannot properly prepare for such a transition as Wills has perhaps a veteran tackle makes sense. Mike Garafolo from NFL Now and NFL Network, 38-year-old Jason Peters has recently told friends, if Tom Brady can play into his 40s, so can he. The Eagles have remained in contact with him as other teams, Jason Palmer of NFL Network TV mentioned, the Browns and Jets and Broncos lurk as well. Yet Fields Yates of ESPN thinks the Browns might do better chasing down aforementioned Waterford. Regardless which way the Browns go over the next few weeks to improve their squad, it's pretty obvious the Browns know what they need to do to improve their offensive line still. So, the Browns know the Browns really know what they have to do, and they really need to improve their offensive line. The question is, do they bring in Jason Peters, or do they go with Waterford? Only time will tell, and we'll have to wait and see. And the Browns know they are lurking to try to get Jason Peters, and they really are one of those teams besides the just on the Broncos, and I'll keep you updated on this story. So stay tuned for updates on this developing story. Now, there was a story, another Browns news I wanted just to mention. In 2018-2019, the Browns were thinking of bringing Russell Wilson to Cleveland when they drafted Baker Mayfield. And I don't know if that would have been such a good idea. And I don't know if, I'm really not sure. And I know a lot of fans aren't sure either. But I really don't think it would have been. Because maybe it would have been, maybe it would have been. And I take that back. But Mayfield had his best year then. And I don't know if that would have been a good idea. And so... But Wilson remained with Seattle, and so hopefully Baker's going to prove himself this year, or Steve Keenum will start. So we'll have to wait and see. Turning now to some Major League Baseball news. The MLB season. I'm trying to find out when the MLB season is going to get underway, and it could be July 1st. If they can, there would be 3 weeks of spring training before that, and it could be July 1st. And just and with the postseason, it could be in the Major League season beginning in November because of the pandemic. Excuse me. And but the Major League Baseball owners and the president and the commissioner of Major League Baseball have also been talking, and I'll let you know when the Major League Baseball season will begin, and so I'll keep you updated on this, but it could be July 1st, but the other thing is they've got to see if they're going to allow fans in the stadium, and they will have to wear masks, I do believe, and so I will keep you updated on this developing story. And so I really do feel that this is really just one of those, this is going to be a season where it's not going to be, probably not a full season. And we don't know if the NBA is going to wrap up, is going to be able to finish up their season. And Larry Nance Jr. feels that they should. And he feels that the NBA does need to crown a champion. And I'll keep you updated on that story. So, stay tuned, and we don't know. And March Madness was canceled for those, so we don't know about that. We don't know about the rest of the NHL season and the Stanley Cup Finals. So hopefully we'll find out if they're going to finish that or not, and hopefully they will. So and the NFL does feel that they will start the season on time, according to Commissioner Roger Goodell. So hopefully we'll start the season on time, and we'll go from there. And hopefully the Browns can have a winning season, and they're going to have opening day losses as they will play Baltimore in Baltimore on opening day. And hopefully I will be at my friend Matt Murphy's house, podcasting there as I have done the past several years and the past 2 seasons on Scott Sports 101. So I'll keep you posted and keep you updated on that. Right now, we'll get to final thoughts in just a moment. Right now, it's time to reveal the answer to today's Scott Sports 101 trivia question. Which Hall of Fame player went by the nickname Sweetness? And if you said Chicago Bears great Walter Payton, the late great Walter Payton, you are correct. During his reign in the 70s and 80s, Walter Sweetness Payton, who from 1954 to 1999, he passed away in 1999, that's why I said that, a running back, set a number of offensive records in the NFL. And I'll have another trivia question on my next podcast, so stay tuned for that. Now, getting to my final thoughts, I really don't know if the Browns should. I know they're trying to go after Jason Peters, but they might want to go after Waterford. But I don't. We'll have to wait and see. And I just feel maybe Waterford might be the way to go, or Jason Peters either way, because they both have experience. But I think it's going to be it could be Jason Peters. So I'll keep you updated on that story. So just stay tuned. Well, that's just about going to wrap it up for this edition of Scott Sports 101. I'll be back with another podcast either tomorrow or over the weekend. But until then, always remember, be a team player each and every day in every way possible. So long, everybody. 3, 2, 1, I'm done.